Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's panel discussion. My name is Chukwuno Sonwabufo, and I'm the founder and the director of Purpose Driven Men. And with me today is Peter
Yeah,
Isesel, who is also the director of operations. And I want to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself, Peter.
yeah. So as you can also mention, my name is Peter Cecile, and yeah, so excited to be part of the conversation today.
Yes, I've been so excited about this month's conversation that we've been having at Purpose Driven Men on developing the leader within you. And the book we read this month is High Performance Habits. As I said before, this is a very interesting book, and there were a bunch of points, I think key highlights that were discussed. I really recommend the book to everyone because I think that our habits are a core determinant of our performance. And the true leader within us, is really predicated on the daily activities and how we carry on with life. But I just wanted us in this important conversation to discuss an integral aspect of the book, at least to me, and I hope to you too, on the aspect of increased productivity. And I just want to start off with the quote on the very first page of that increased productivity, which is, don't think about making art, just get it done. Let everyone else decide if it is good or bad, whether they love it or not. While they are deciding that, make even more art. This is a quote by Andy Warhol. Powerful, isn't it just so powerful? What does that mean to you, Peter?
Well, sometimes when we think about productivity, we sometimes people think about it just about planning, I'm going to get this done within 2 minutes, within 5 minutes, At the end of the day, it just end up being at the planning stage, right? People don't really get to execute it. So the best part of productivity is really actually, you plan something and then just executing it right away. It is in the doing and in that art that you even get to learn more and more. So it's not just about planning. So the productivity, it's about the act in whatever actions or plans that you have. Yeah,
And it's true, the action is really what is important, is the action that leads to the results, which is the
absolutely.
measurable outcome that we all view as productivity. But you've said something important, which is planning. You know, when things go well, the thinking is that people have put in a lot of planning into it.
Exactly.
When it goes badly, they think, oh, you didn't plan it out all well. The funny thing is, the people who actually got it well sometimes didn't really spend so much time in planning and analysis. So, how much planning is enough and how much planning is too much? And are there circumstances when it's okay not to even plan at all?
Well, it doesn't really get rid of planning aspect of, getting things done. Actually, planning is very important because if you don't even have a plan at all, then it's very difficult to measure productivity. Let me just give you an instance. Oh, I want to read 12 books this year. You end up, you plan and plan and plan and plan, and at the end of the day, you don't even start with one book. So instead of spending like 2 3 weeks trying to say I'm going to you're planning the time and just pick up a book and start to read. Okay, so definitely it doesn't mean planning is not important. Absolutely it is. Okay, so you plan and then you execute. So anyone without planning, it's difficult to even measure productivity without planning. Yeah, but the planning has to be, you plan to do something and then you execute like rather when you think that the plan is sufficient to give you a guide. Because sometimes when you have a half plan, then you execute that plan, you don't have something next, then you can't even measure productivity as well.
Well, you're correct. I just rapidly think about the book one.
Yeah.
I personally have seen over the years, ever since I started reading books, that when I read one book, when I open one book and read and finish it and get the key points, it always gives me the direction as to the next book that I want to read because
Absolutely,
there's
absolutely,
always something that, an exposition that comes from reading that book, that particular book, that now tells me, oh, I want to expand on this topic, or maybe this is another part of the book that was quite interesting that I want to elaborate more on. So
absolutely.
I think that what I'm getting out of it is that there are just certain things that the best planning you can do is to start first and
Absolutely,
then
absolutely.
plan as, and it will become clear. I think the right word
Absolutely.
is it
Yeah,
becomes clear as you move
absolutely.
down the lane. But I think frameworks are very important. So why don't we establish a framework here? What is the minimum planning that is needed for every adventure or for everything, every goal, every objective that a human being wants to accomplish? At minimum, what is the amount of plan you should have that is enough for you to then start executing and then refining the plan?
So I think it also depends. There are some things, for example, if you are going on a journey and you want to be productive throughout the journey, you don't just plan your way to the airport and say, oh, well, when I get to the airport, I'll figure all other things out. So there are sometimes you need to have the full scope. But sometimes if you want to start getting, I want to know all the details. I want to know which cab I'm going to get from the airport to. So sometimes when you start getting too much into those details and you haven't even booked the flight. So you're so worried. When I get to my final destination, what is the name of the cab I'm going to get? So all of those things are you just know that you're going to get a cab. Okay, so as to this is the type that I'm going to get. So sometimes there are some people that are able to plan out all of those things. So I would say depends on the thing, whatever planning that is sufficient to get started, like the book that we mentioned, if you've been able to decide, oh, I want to read 12 books in a year, even though you don't have the list of the books you want to read for those 12 months, it's fine. But if you're able to say, okay, I've decided that every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm going to read 15 minutes. And this is a book I'm going to get started with. That is enough to start. So it depends on what you're doing and how much detail you need because there are sometimes you need the full planning before you actually get started. But we should not get stuck in the planning phase and not actually start.
I agree with you. I think that there are certain things we do that we have the bandwidth
Yeah,
plan everything in detail. Particularly
absolutely.
if you want to get married, of course, you need to know the number of guests you want,
Absolutely. Yeah,
the cake, if you want to go on travel. But I think where this really happens is when people want to take on personal projects. Say, for
absolutely.
example, starting a new business. They want to be so sure that the business is viable. They want to be so sure of the customers, if possible, even have the customers at hand first without the
Absolutely.
product. They want to be sure. I think for me, you run into analysis paralysis when you're already trying to control variables that are outside of your control.
Absolutely.
That's when the
Absolutely.
problem is. How
Yeah,
do I know that? If we go back to that quote, it says, don't think about making art, just get it done. Let everyone else decide if it's good or bad. I
absolutely. Yeah,
think, what does that mean? If we think about it holistically, you've decided you want to make an art, you're sure of the art that you're making, but you're still in the planning phase. But you find yourself thinking, oh, these are some of the options that I have. But I wonder if people are going to like it. You're no longer planning. This is no longer
absolutely.
about planning.
Yeah,
Now
yeah,
you're trying to control variables that are now
absolutely.
outside of your control.
Yeah,
Because the person who made the quote and the Warhol is correct. You can't be the artist and also the judge of your own work. You've
absolutely.
done
Yeah,
the work. You now allow the audience to be the judge of, whether the art is good or bad. This can be even for your business. You now
absolutely. Yeah,
hear feedback from potential customers as to the performance of your product.
absolutely.
And while you're doing that, then you're also producing even more art, producing even more outcomes for whatever it is that you're planning. And
Absolutely.
you're iterating it based on the feedback that you're getting.
Absolutely, I
So
agree.
I often find that when we get stuck on trying to control the variables, outcomes that are outside of our control, that's usually when we run into that problem of analysis paralysis and also
Awesome.
getting the outcome that we want. Or when we
Absolutely.
find ourselves stuck, you know. What do
That's
you
true.
think?
Well, like we've mentioned before, when you are in situations like that, like we talked about starting a business. I mean, it's such when I started my own consulting business, the first time I had the idea and I wrote it down. And why did I not actually start early? Because I feel like I need to figure out everything. I need to figure out all the website. I need to figure out all the design. I need to figure out how the payment plan and everything. So I didn't actually start for a very long time until I made it. And I discovered that for something like that, business. In fact, when Twitter started up, they did not plan that Elon Musk is going to buy it and change it to X,
Yeah,
So either I wanted to figure out all of those things before getting started, and they may have never started, right? So I think for something like a business, for example, when you have that sufficient, you've done your market research, something enough to get started, because you don't also want to get started and not even know what you're doing, because if you haven't even figured out what exactly makes your own maybe unique or something, and people just sometimes you see some this business into, because they've not really clearly defined what they want to do. So I think when you've had at least something sufficient to get you started, to an extent, that is very reasonable. As you start, I tell you, based on the feedback. In fact, one of the things that has helped me to grow over the years is feedback. You start getting people say, "Oh, I wish you've had a way on your website to actually book." Right? Okay, that would be important. Then I go find a way to incorporate that, right? Sometimes people have mentioned, oh, when we have a call, we spend about 5 minutes or trying to write down our information. Why don't you just send a Google form ahead? Then we can just fill the Google form before the meeting starts. So that's 5 minutes. I was like, oh, this is interesting. So actually incorporated once you sign up, I just send you the Google form. You fill it's just to come, and then all the questions you already have is already written there. It's just for me to even brainstorm about the questions. Once I come, it's just action right away. So that saves me a lot of minutes in conversation. So yeah, just something sufficient to start, and then as you go, feedback helps you to improve. Yeah,
absolutely. You've just that feedback is essentially what is important. But I want to touch on another area that I think is the main reason why people stall a lot. And I think that is the fear of failure. They
absolutely.
are scared of what people would say if the outcome they want is not what they eventually get. They think of how the society will interpret it from a business perspective, how
Yeah,
it look like if you didn't get any clients in months, or if it failed, or if that art nobody purchased it or came for the opening or the gallery or whatever. That is right out of your control. And you know the
absolutely,
truth, even if that stuff failed, whatever that outcome is, even if it didn't work out as you anticipated, there's a lesson to learn from
absolutely.
it. And
Yeah,
many of the times in life, I feel like we're so engrossed in wanting to get it right that we
yeah,
forget that there are actually certain things in life that you cannot learn unless you have fallen in order for you to stand
yeah.
and then
It's just
learn.
like someone saying, "Well, I'm planning to get married, but I want to first know everything about how to become a dad. First of all, I want to know everything about,
Interesting
I want
example.
to,
That is
yeah.
true.
So I want to know how it's going to be like when my wife is going to give birth in the hospital. I want to know the nitty-gritties. So when you want to think about all of those things before you will never, the person will never get married.
And you know
So
what? The
yeah,
funny thing though is, even if you went and read a book about it, your friends told you what it feels like to be a dad, the real truth is when you still get into the journey, you
absolutely,
learn a lot
absolutely, yeah.
beyond what you were told. you know.
Absolutely.
So I
Absolutely.
think we need to really reshape when we think about productivity and as leaders in the things we do in our respective organizations. It's time to go back and think about what is that milestone that we've been stalling on? What is
Yeah.
that thing that we're supposed to be doing that we're not yet doing because we're waiting for perfection? We feel like, oh, we are not yet there. I am not yet there. We shouldn't just do it now. Are you saying that because you're scared of what the outcome will be? You want assurance, assured success. Well,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be a goal worth pursuing if you were
Yeah.
100% sure of what the outcome would look like. And I think
Absolutely.
we need to continuously think about this as we think of different projects in our lives, in our businesses, and in our career, in our homes. What are we stalling on? And how can we move it forward? I want to thank
Absolutely.
you so much, Peter, for
Thank you for
this
the
very
opportunity.
exciting conversation this
Thank
month
you.
that we've really dwelled and discussed extensively on developing the leader within us. And what I really have taken out of it is, as a leader, we should execute more. We should move past the fear, push the boundary, focus on the outcome. Whatever that outcome looks like, focus on the learning. And then from there,
Absolutely.
you can iterate and move forward. I want to thank
Absolutely.
everyone and thank you again, Peter, for
Thank
participating
you
today,
for having
as well
me.
as the members of Purpose Driven Men. I really want to thank everyone for their contribution until we meet again next month, potentially discussing a new topic. And I hope you enjoyed the remaining part of your evening. Thank
Thank
you.
you.